Welcome, guys. So today we're going to look at some common problems in data science. Some common problem in data science. So in data science, we have some common problems like the regression problem, the classification problem, the multi-classification problem, the time series problem, and the structured data problem. Right. So in data science, before we move further in data science, right? So we have two type of variables, right? And these types are being categorized into different variables. So the two type of variable that we have is the dependent variable and the independent variable. So the dependent variable is the variable that you are trying to predict or explain, right? So it is the outcome or the result you are interested in measuring, typically denoted as y. So in this problem here, now example you're given the data set like this, right? And this is actual regression problem. Why? Because in regression problem, the goal is to predict a continuous target variable, which is a dependent variable, based on the feature of independent variables. Like looking at this place here, right? The house price is a continuous variable, right? So we are trying to predict or explain. Right? This is the variable we're trying to predict or explain. So it's the outcome or the result we are interested in measuring. So this is the house prices. So the age of house. Now the age of house is these are all independent variables. Now independent variables are categorized. The all the variables, right? They are all categorized into quantitative and the qualitative. Right? So in quantitative, which is the numerical variables, we have the continuous variable and the discrete variable. So the continuous variable can take value within a range. So values are often measured, right? And fractions and decimals are possible. But in discrete variable, fractions and decimal are not possible. It takes a specific countable numbers, usually involves whole numbers or categories. Whole numbers or categories, that is discrete, right? Okay, now looking at this variable here, the house price is actually a continuous variable, the house sizes, right? So the number of bedroom is a discrete variable because I don't think we can have anything like 3.5 bedroom or we can have 2.5 bedroom. But in the age of houses, right, so there are a possibility we can have 3.5 years, 4.5 years, 10.5 years, or 10 and a half years. So that makes it a continuous variable, right? That makes it a continuous variable. So this is also a continuous variable because the price can be determined at any time, right? So also the house size is continuous because the house size can also may not only take only whole numbers, right? May not only take whole numbers. So you can see that here we only have one discrete variable, right? So remember discrete variable and the continuous variable falls under the quantitative or numerical variables. So when you see data set like this, you actually know that, fine, this is a regression problem. So what are the techniques to solve regression problem? So then you now start learning data analysis, which we'll do in the next class, right? We'll pick problem and start solving it. Right? So the second one we'll move on to is the classification problem. So in classification problem, the goal is to predict a categorical target variable based on the future. So before we move on to this, explaining this, we need to know what is qualitative variables. Now, in qualitative variables, we have the nominal variable, the ordinal variable, the binary variable, the time variable, the text variable, derived ordinal, interval, and ratio. But we will not look at all of this. Right? So this looking at this target, the target is both products, right? So we have two classes, yes or no. So this is actually a binary variable. So it's a type of categorical variable that has only two possible categories or values. Right? We also have some which are the nominal variables which category with a specific order ranking, ordinal variables category with specific or meaningful order, but the intervals between them are not necessarily equal. We also have the text variable, which we'll look at when we look at the unstructured data problem, which has to do with contains text data such as sentence or paragraph, often requiring the natural language processing technique, right? So these are the key ones we look at here. So I won't actually explain the time variables and derived or ordinal, right? So, but these all falls under the qualitative or the categorical variables, right? So when you see a problem like this and this is a class yes or no, right? So this is a category yes or no. So it means that this is the only class, right? So the next one we look at is a multi-classification problem where the target variable have more than two categories, right? You can see multi-class classification, the target variable has more than two categories. more than two categories. So color one equal red, two this. So this is actually a discrete variable. Now decimeter can be continuous because we can have 10 points. Yeah, there's a possibility that we can have 10 point something decimeter, right? So this is continuous. The weight is continuous, but I think the color is discrete. Then the fruit type is the it has is a categorical which is a target variable, right? So we'll look at the next one here. Okay, we'll look at multi-class, we'll look at time series. So in time series, the data is sequential, right, and ordered by time. So the target variable is often a value at a future price. So these are all continuous variable, which are the independent variables. So this is the target variable, which is the close price. So this is actually what we're trying to make a meaning out from. We are trying to predict to explain. So it's the outcome of the result we're trying interested in, right? So this is our target variable, which is the close price. Right. So the last one we'll look at here, which is very interesting, but when we try to look at solving information extraction problem using the natural language processing techniques, and also the transformer model is part of all the techniques, all the combination of all techniques of natural language processing, and also machine learning techniques to solve information extraction problem. We're going to look at that when we solve the unstructured data problem. So unstructured data refers to data that does not have a predefined format such as text, images, or formats. So looking at this review that um, text here, review text variable here. So you can see there is a variable that contains text that such as sentence or paragraph. So after requiring, we actually apply the natural language processing technique like the tokenization, stemming, and also the n-gram and so many of the simple algorithms that we know, and also algorithms that can convert sentences to vectors that we know in order for you to understand how to actually solve this. So when we understand that, we move to the advanced stage of learning the transformer models in these unstructured data problems, right? So now we understand the common problems in data science, right? So we need what I will do here is to go to my browser. Okay. On our next video, right? On our next video, we'll try to solve the customer churn problem. We'll try to solve a customer churn problem, right? So we'll look at that with I'm going to use cargo data source. We're going to search for problems in cargo data source. So the next video, the first one we're going to look at is a classification. How can we be able to solve classification from the beginning down to the end, and the steps in data science, right? The techniques on how to the techniques of data science. So from the beginning down to the end, I'm going to explain for you. Please follow this video. You can learn this from the first lesson down to the last lessons of the data science class, and you'll be ready for any data science um, interview, right? Because I'm going to take them step by step. You can see that how I started from the data type and then from the fundamentals of data structure, which is a list, and the data dictionary, which is common in that structure, data science class. So down to our unstructured data problem, which we'll be looking at. So there are so many video tutorials here, right? And it's very, very interesting to actually know this. So that when you see a problem, you can easily solve that. And you can identify that what problem that is, what you can understand the type of problem you're trying to solve. Okay, thank you and God bless you.